I'm going to go ahead. We're going to get started. I want to thank everybody for being here to the NIRSA virtual roundtable, working from home alone. And I am Laurie Braden. I am the Executive Director at LSU for University Recreation. And my partner today is Jerrod Jackson. And I'll let Jerrod tell you his role at LSU.
Hey everybody, thank y'all for joining us again. Like Darcy, I saw Darcy's picture and said Darcy. Like Laurie said, my name is Jerrod Jackson. I serve as the Associate Director for Programs and Outreach here at LSU. Been here about a year and a half and was at Texas A&M University before that.
Thank you, Jerrod. If you are here because you are working from home alone, you now see other colleagues who are doing the same thing. And we're glad you're here. If you're not working from home alone and you're here, I assume it's here because you want to be a great support to your colleagues who are doing that. And we are appreciative of you being here. And we also want those of us who are working from home alone to know that we're not alone, we're just apart. So again, welcome, and thank you for taking the time on a Friday afternoon to be with us. I'm sharing my screen with you all as well. So hang on a minute, I'm having a little technical difficulty. Did it change, Jerrod?
It did not.
Okay. Oh, you know why? Because I'm clicking the wrong thing. But now I am hopefully clicking the right thing.
All right, so most of y'all have participated in some of these ideas in motion roundtables that NIRSA has so graciously hosted for us to do, and we just want to remind people, please respect all the attendees' experiences and concerns. Of course, we're all living in different parts of the country or in Canada as well, and doing different things, and so the pandemic, of course, is affecting us all in different ways. So all of us are, of course, not going to have the same experiences, but we hopefully will be able to talk and share during this meeting where our experiences and our concerns are helping us out in areas for us to learn and different things like that. Of course, it is a no judgment zone. Be brave. Whatever you want to say, speak up, say it. We're here to support you. We're here to support each other. And as we go through this, just make sure that we keep these guidelines in mind.
Thank you, Jerrod. So just a few overview and outcomes. We all obviously just want to be in community with each other. We want to share strategies with each other that help us pursue positive health and to be a resource for each other as we navigate this new normal, working from home alone.
And also, as we're going through it and we're looking for situations where we can navigate that and have the resources, Laurie and I did look at some different articles to be able to help. These are just 3 websites and articles that we found that deal with living alone and working from home during this pandemic. The first one you'll see there, and then the second one kind of talks about just being in isolation or in solitude, and then the last one is more focused on women who live at home and are working from home alone. So those are 3 articles that we thought gave some good insight and guidelines to think about as you're trying to navigate this time. What we do encourage is, we know that this will be posted up on all of the other ideas in motion. Then also we have our NIRSA Connect community. We have the chat box in here as well. So if there are things that you have found online that you feel have helped you and given you resources to kind of get through this time, feel free to share those however you see fit. The chat box can be great, and people can be able to see those, open those up, and save them for a later time so that they can go back and read through those as well.
Thanks, Jerrod. And so with anything, you know, we're not here to say this is how you work from home alone. We're here because we each identified a need. I have 2 dogs, and I'm grateful to the universe every day that I have 2 dogs, because honestly, it was a really difficult transition for me. I'm not an extrovert. People think that I am, but I'm not. And it took me a while to kind of get into my groove. And I was grateful for them, grateful for working out. But I have found in that that humor is something that really did help me kind of get my bearings. So I just put 3 funnies that I personally have found fun. Glennon Doyle is an author. She's married to Abby Wambach. She's hilarious. She's a mother. She just wrote a really big bestseller called Untamed. But she keeps it real, and I've just enjoyed it. I follow her on Instagram, and so I mean, I'm not a mother to humans, and so, but she cracks me up. And so she shares a little bit of her life experience. So she's funny, she's got some real serious messages, but she is a really wonderful storyteller. So I've enjoyed that. There's some song parodies when I Googled YouTube funny things. Some of these songs were hilarious. So I just shared that with you. And then the other one I think is YouTube, like puppies and things like that. So since I like dogs, I'm not really a cat person, but I have been known to watch a kitten video or two. But I think that humor is really important. And these were 3 that I found helpful. I would also share with you and ask you to share if you have funny things that have helped you get through some of those moments. Again, put them in Connect or put them in the chat. These were just mine. And I'll tease Jerrod just a little bit. I asked him to put in some funnies, and he's like, I don't got any.
Not at all.
But he makes me smile and makes me laugh all the time when we're together. So I find that hard to believe, actually. But in any case, those are ones that I liked. Now we're going to get to kind of the more fun part that we think of this virtual happy hour, virtual webinar. It's not a happy hour, it's too early, even though it is Friday. And that is questions to ponder. And Jerrod is going to go first. And then we're going to ask all of you to participate.
Yeah, so this is where we want to open it up and really turn to a discussion. We've kind of shared different things we wanted to do because we knew that this was more of a group where we just wanted to talk through some stuff. But some questions that we thought about as we, you got that right. The questions that we thought about as we were looking through this is, what's been great about adjusting to working from home? What's been difficult? Don't say happy hour and think I'm going to keep it serious. But what's been difficult about adjusting from home? Of course, we know that there's been some good things happening. There's been some difficult things, but then also, what do you enjoy most about working from home? And then what's been your biggest struggle? When I think about these 4 questions, the first one, I guess what's really been great for me and what I've enjoyed, I'm kind of going to put those 2 together, is that since I've been working from home at least 3 days a week, I've gone for at least a 2-mile jog. And I'm trying to increase that to more days during the week, but it's something that is definitely helping me stay sane. It's the first thing I do when I get up on the mornings of usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday, even though I didn't do it this morning, but I'll maybe make up for it tomorrow. But that's been probably the best thing, is really trying to get into a routine where I'm doing more physical activity because at some point you just have to get out the house and there's really nowhere else to go. I feel like I've been here and to the grocery store that's down the street from my house, and I haven't been anywhere else in at least the last 3 weeks. So that's been difficult, but getting out and being able to do that. And I see the same people every day as I'm walking up and down the street. I've learned some new people's names that live in my neighborhood that I had never met before. So that's been great. Not having to prepare for a 30-minute drive into work, but actually rolling out of bed 1 minute before a meeting and being on the call has been wonderful. That's something that I've really enjoyed. But it's also been difficult for me being in the house a lot. Those that know me know that I nap a lot. So it's been hard for me staying awake all day. That's just the truth. That's the thing that I've dealt with the most is getting up and staying up all day and trying to get a good rest at night. I don't know what time I go to sleep. I don't know what time I wake up, and I don't know what time I'm going to take a nap. But that's been the hardest thing, is just trying to stay on a schedule and get through that. That's kind of what I've struggled with a lot. And then just the isolation. Laurie says she's more of an introvert. I am definitely more of the extrovert. Anybody on the LSU staff will tell you that. So for me to be here at home has been somewhat of a struggle because I like to talk. But the good part about that is that I've been able to reach out and connect with people and have conversations with people across the country. I think a lot of people have learned that everything doesn't have to be communicated through text anymore. You can actually call people and talk to them, FaceTime them. I see Zach Septon on the phone from Queen's University. He's on here right now. That's someone who I've definitely reached out to and had conversations with. I know Sikaray's on here. So it's good to have colleagues throughout the country that you can call and be able to talk to that are going to keep you honest, but then also just provide you a laugh when you get a chance to do that. So, I'm appreciative of those folks that I've been able to reach out to, and I hope that you have that network as well.
Thanks, Jerrod. I think for me, what's been great about just adjusting to working from home alone. Well, my running mileage is going up and my running time is going down. Well, today I ran 5 miles, so that's awesome. And for a 55-year-old, I know I don't look 55. But when you have had battled hip injuries and foot injuries for the better part of 4 years, I'll celebrate that. So I guess that's been a good adjustment. A difficult thing has been that my partner is a VPSA at George Washington University, and so she lives in Washington, D.C., and then my family lives in Pensacola, Florida, and they're all there. I don't have a big family, but I've got like 4 or 5 great nieces and nephews that are all under the age of 4, and I love them to death, and they live on the beach. So they're all having such great fun. So it's been difficult being without the people who love me the most and make me laugh the most, whether it's my tribe in Pensacola or my person in DC, who we would see each other every 2 to 3 weeks regularly over the last 1.5 years since she's been at George Washington. And so that's really difficult. What do I enjoy the most from working from home alone is, I love to cook and actually love to read a lot. So I've had more time to do those since I can't go out. And so I've been able to cook a little more, and I've been enjoying that. I think my biggest struggle was just the sense of isolation and knowing, what would I do if I got sick? I don't have a huge tribe of friends in Baton Rouge. And even though I've been here 10 years, I go to church in New Orleans. I can't go to church, so it was this real fear of what do I do if for some reason I get sick? Who will take care of me? Who will take care of my dogs? I will tell you, I had some really dark days in the very beginning. And that's why we put this together. Jerrod and I were talking, and I was like, Jerrod, I'm struggling, and I'm supposed to be the executive director, the spine of steel, and people in NIRSA who know me are like, oh, not Laurie, but I was over here crumbling like a cookie. And fortunately, I think I got into a routine. I kind of snapped myself out of it, but that sense of isolation, and so then I decided, well, okay, what do you do if you get sick? Well, you make a plan in advance. So I made a plan. I told my family, if I get sick, here's what happens to my dogs. If I end up in a hospital, here's, it's crazy to think like that, y'all. But when you live alone, I think that you will. And once I made that plan, I found a little bit of peace about it. So that was my biggest struggle. And now what we want to do, and I told y'all we weren't going to talk too long at you. Now what we really want to do is open this up to all of you and have, this is a place where we can find community together. Those of us who are working at home alone, And those of us who are here to support us, you know, I think one thing that you can do to support your colleagues at home alone or to check on them and say, hey, how are you? And if you get ill, do you have a plan? You know, do you have a community that you can reach out to? If not, I'm here for you. So that's what I would share with you for those of you who are here in support. And then with that, we would just really like to open this up to all of you to share with each other what you're doing, what's been successful, and how we might help you if you're in a place where you need a little extra support, because you're not alone. You are alone, but we're apart, but you're not alone. We're here for each other.
Natalie at ECU, I'm just going to share what I shared because I feel like a few others feel the same way. For 2 and 4, I feel like time is simultaneously going by very slowly in quarantine, but also so fast. Sometimes I'll sit down and try to get some work done or schoolwork since I'm a GA, and I'll look at the time and I'll be like, where did the last 3 hours go? I feel like I just lost this huge chunk of time and I didn't do a whole lot. And then it's just like kind of disheartening of like, all right, should I, you know, put down school or work for the rest of the day and kind of just focus on me, or should I still continue working? But then also it's still going by so slowly of like, okay, this day dragged on, another day of quarantine tomorrow. So.
Thank you.
I know, Natalie, for me, on that note, it's like some parts of the day fly by, and then it seems like other parts of the day just stand still. It's like, can we please get to 5 o'clock? And then you get to 5 o'clock, it's like, how is it already midnight? What's going on? So that's been a real struggle trying to just balance out the day.
Y'all, I'm having a chance to scroll through the chat. Y'all are totally making me bust out laughing. Some of these are great. Daniel, I dropped the ball on grooming standards. Thank you for giving us a good smile. Coming to work in PJs, that's good. What are some others?
Hi, Adrian from Northwestern here. I know for me, I've lived alone since my sophomore year of undergrad, which is about 6.5 years. So I'm kind of used to it. I'm a homebody by nature, but I know I've been using my Zoom and all that stuff for more than just connecting with my staff. I've connected with my family who's back home in Ohio, friends who are all over the country, so that's been great. We talk way more than we normally do. One thing that I know has been difficult, I celebrated a birthday by myself for the first time in 26 years. So that was a little rough, but I know my family, my friends, they all connected, you know, they all reached out to me. Also, now that we're at home, my work, my personal, and I'm also a grad student, all those spaces have become one. So I don't feel like I have a safe space to just go and relax, because I can see my laptop from basically anywhere I am in my apartment. So it's almost like the dinging and the ringing never stops, and I can hear it no matter where I am, and it causes me a little stress, but it's good. It's all good.
Well, thanks for sharing, Adrian. And everybody has just, that blending of what is what, right?
Definitely. It's been a little rough, especially when, you know, I have to transition out of work and into school. And then, like, you know, people were saying earlier, it's like, oh wait, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. Where did the time go?
The floor is open.
I'll say something. This is Anna Champion from, now Auburn University at Montgomery. So I started this position the first week of February, and my husband and I are actually 5 hours apart right now. He was finishing up his practicum and had planned to move to Montgomery in March or April. And now he's still in Georgia and I'm here, and it's a completely new state because I haven't actually moved out of the state of Georgia, born and raised, and now we're 5 hours apart. Luckily, my work family has been wonderful. Even though we can't see each other, we do chat every single day, And then, of course, Montgomery has been very welcoming in terms of running streets. So I have been very active, just like Laurie was saying. Running has been very therapeutic. And then, of course, I don't actually have any animals here either. They're still in Georgia as well. So completely by myself, which normally I am an introvert as well. So I'm okay with that. However, having no one, like no animals to talk to at home, or we all know we talk to our animals, or no husband has been a little different than normal.
Thank you.
Now, seeing some of these names on this call, I know some of y'all got some more stuff to say because I see a lot of talkers on here.
I know, I was just scrolling through all the names and going, don't make us the shortest virtual roundtable in nurses history, y'all.
I will call somebody out.
I mean, I can talk real quick. For those of you who know me, I love smoked food and grilling. Working from home has opened up all my smoking opportunities. So I've just been smoking a ton of meats, working from home. So when this opens up, everyone's invited. Everyone gets a plate. Come on through to Omaha.
That
Greg, I'll
sounds
be on the
great.
first thing smoking out of Baton Rouge for that. I guarantee that.
I can say something. This is Rebecca from Weber State in Utah. I love working from home because this is like my natural state of being. I don't like leaving my house. And I have social anxiety, so sometimes working in a customer service heavy environment is really hard for me. So I really thrive in the work at home environment. My biggest difficulty though is keeping myself responsible for the expectation that when I'm at working hours, I still have to communicate with my coworkers, because at home, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to be around anyone. The only people I talk to when I'm at home are my parents and my sister and maybe my friends. And so like being in my home environment and reminding myself that I still have to respond to messages from work, even if they're like not work related messages, is kind of difficult because they all see me at work and they stop by my office and chat with me, and that's not natural for me, but it is for them. And so keeping up the expectation that they need the socialization from me has been my biggest difficulty.
Thank you, Rebecca. That comes as someone who I have had challenges with anxiety in the past, and I can understand the perspective that you come from. I can go in my office some days at work and not leave my office, and as the executive director, I have to force myself to get out of there and intentionally go visit with folks. And that's, so I can identify with what you're saying. And I would share with you that over time, I've been able to, not related to COVID-19, but over time, I've been able to really work on that skill and develop it, and have great coworkers like Jerrod and others who are on this call who allow me a lot of grace in navigating some of those anxieties. And so, yeah, I totally understand how you feel. I feel that way sometimes too.
Hey everyone, my name is Chelsea Randolph. I'm the aquatics coordinator at Texas A&M University. I think one of the difficulties for me is just kind of having, like, I miss my office, and it's like being home is like, I'm just home. So I don't feel like I'm not being productive. Like I feel like I have to actually motivate myself to do work. So sometimes I'll work on something and kind of like, okay, I'm gonna take a break. Probably 30 minutes, we watch a little Judge Judy or something, and then get back on. So I think that's the most difficult thing for me, is just kind of motivating myself to stay on the computer and just complete my task.
What about some of our veterans on this call?
I wouldn't say I'm a veteran. This is Nick White from Missouri S&T. I would say the thing that I miss most is obviously the students, because that's the reason why I'm in this profession. The thing that has helped me is all the Zoom calls, especially the NIRSA Zoom calls, because we're a department of 3 full-time rec professionals. So getting an opportunity to talk to different rec around the country when we only time I really get to do that is at the national conference or at extramural tournament. So that's one of the things that help me survive.
Hey, I actually have a question to see what people feel about this. I've almost gotten to a point, and I hate to say this with my boss on here, but I'm going to say it anyway. I've gotten to a point where I'm like sick of Zoom. Like it's almost to the point where I'm burned out. But I know that's the only way we can communicate. Can anyone talk to the fact that you've gotten to that point where you've kind of been burned out on Zoom or sick of logging into it, and what you've done to maybe kind of get past that and whatnot? Because that's proved quite difficult, where it's like, okay, I am sick of sitting in front of my computer and talking on this screen. I want to go stand over there and do something. Anybody dealt with that and have pointers on dealing with that?
Yes, I
Adrian,
will say.
sorry, go ahead.
Hi, this is Chastity from. Hi, this is Chastity from Georgia State, Newton campus. Yes, I feel you. I am burnt out from Zoom. I'm on Zoom now. My kids are on Zoom. I'm head of the fitness ministry at my church. We use Zoom. Staying in contact with friends is Zoom. Zoom. And it's a little tiring. It really does. This is my second of 3 roundtables today. So in between, I like to go outside to get some of this beautiful fresh air and this green scenery, because it does, even though you're just sitting here talking, it does takes a toll. So yeah, I'm zoomed out.
I definitely agree. Even watching TV, some of the shows have become watching like a Zoom call. But when I start to feel tired, that's when I go do my workout. That's when I decide, oh, let me run to the grocery store. Let me cook dinner. Let me do whatever, just so I can get a break and move around a little bit.
Yeah, Madison Robbins at State University Corpus Christi. I'm kind of along the same lines. One thing that I've been doing just to keep myself from getting so burnt out on Zoom is I'll actually take a 15-30-minute break after every single meeting that I have. I schedule them that way so that I can get up, move around, get away from my laptop, go outside, walk around, whatever it might be, for at least 30 minutes, and then come back. Or if I'm having a meeting with one of my coordinators or my directors, I actually have it on my phone with my headphones, and I'll be talking to them while I'm in a different atmosphere, just so that you're not in your apartment, same screen, same place at any part of your apartment that you're at. So something that's been helping me is just doing it in a different environment, different place each time, and taking those breaks in between.
And Rebecca, you just typed what I was going to say. I actually did one of my calls outside yesterday, and it felt great to actually sit outside and do it instead of sitting at my table and doing it.
Yeah, most of the Zoom calls that I have are in the afternoon. So in the morning, I actually just kind of do no screens, and I just go outside and eat my breakfast and have coffee outside. And then when it comes to schoolwork, because a lot of my stuff is also on the computer, I try to break it up of reading on the computer, then I'll read out of my textbook, just kind of take alternate breaks.
Brandon Bermea here, graduate assistant at Oklahoma State. One thing that I do, I have a pretty high table, so I'll actually do my Zoom call standing, and it kind of helps me with my posture, because when I'm sitting down for so long, I tend to hunch and just get bored pretty much of just sitting down for so long. So I like to do some of my Zoom calls standing up, something that's different from what everybody else has said.
I didn't realize my mini-me was on this call. Hey, Brandon.
Hi, Jerrod.
I did notice that Zach said it was snowing in Canada, and I am so grateful, Zach, that since we've been working at home in Baton Rouge since a month now, and actually over a month, and we have had probably the best stretch of weather that we've had in such a long time. And
It's been awesome.
I have said multiple times that if we had not had this good weather, I probably would have, I don't know what would have happened, but I'm sorry that you have snow. And I like cold weather, but it rains too much in Louisiana, and I hate rain. And I know we have to have the rain to make the things grow in the sunshine, but when it rains 3-4 days in a row, ooh, I am my most worst self. So I've been very grateful for the weather. So I'm sorry that you have snow. Spring's coming. What are some other things that have been fun that you have discovered that you didn't think that you would discover during this period? Like, who's learned new technology besides Zoom?
Does it be work related?
It can be anything. If you've done something for your personal development.
So just like a hobby of mine, I'm into music. So I've been kind of, after I'm done with work, I've been like creating beats.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I do with my downtime. Just that's my kind of my reward to myself for a long day of sitting at the table. I sit at the table even more and just work on just my beats. So that's what I've been doing, like, personally.
That's great, Chelsea. I think that's a good strategy. Crystal Dooley, were you going to add something?
Yeah, I can show my face for a quick second. So something that I've been doing to keep fun. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm at CU Boulder. My bad. I paint now. So like you guys said, happy hours after 5. So I do my own little sip and paint after 5 p.m. So that's something I've been doing to, I guess, switch it up from the everyday thing.
Good. Very good.
I've been learning a lot about social media ins and outs. Even though I've been doing marketing for a while now, there's social media is constantly changing, and I've gotten into fights with my Instagram a few times because I want it to be this, but it's not that. And also just learning more about design, like on InDesign and Illustrator and all that fun stuff.
I'm curious, have any of your institutions provided opportunities for remote learning and professional development certifications for you? Okay, now I'm going to get specific. Darcy, Natasha, y'all are on this call. So, and from seasoned veterans, what are y'all doing at your institutions, both the Texas and Kentucky, in regard to professional development for staff or for students? And do people have students working remotely? So as a whole bunch, answer, the two of you answer as you wish.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for putting me on the spot, Laurie. I appreciate that.
Well, you're so welcome.
And for the record, you don't look close to 55, my
Okay.
friend. You look fantastic. So yes, to almost all of those questions. We do have the opportunity for remote learning. UT has a sort of a CEU program for social media, for technology, different compliance modules, professional development, public speaking. So that service is free. And so now we actually have some time to take those classes. Sorry, I just cut out my video. Our students are working remotely on projects. We have students who are delivering some programs and services at, intramural esports tournaments and producing fitness videos, producing outdoor instructional videos, not tying outdoor equipment, camping setup, that sort of thing. I think we're about to enter phase 2 of that because the semester's about to end. We have to figure out what we're going to do for the summer. But those opportunities are there. Now we're moving into that phase of what do we plan for this summer for the students, and we're going to move into the professional development phase for them to see how we can help them with skills that they would build on the job, including hopefully some online officiating classes that aren't just skill related, but communication, problem solving, conflict resolution, etc. So that's a long answer to a series of questions.
That's fair.
But I will say that I actually have loved working from home alone. I'm fortunate in that I was at the end of a very busy basketball season, as I know Natasha was, and probably some other folks on this call as well. And I look forward to having 2 or 3 weeks of respite at the end of that season, but we don't get it because of when the season ends. Usually we don't get that until May or June. And the month of April is really rough for us. So it's been nice for me to have some downtime after the end of a busy season. And I'm a little bit fortunate. I went through experience 2 years ago where I got really sick and was put in a position to think about how I would take care of myself, which wasn't really an option. There wasn't anyone around to take care of me. So I have a plan that was forced upon me. So I knew if I got sick, I had a plan in motion this time around, but it's critical, like Laurie mentioned, to have a plan in case you really do need someone to step up for you. So I appreciate you saying that, Laurie.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm sorry that you went through that. And I'm glad to know there's someone else who has, I'm not glad you experienced that, but I'm glad to know that, y'all, I thought I was crazy when I was thinking these things, 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I'm calling my sister in Florida on the phone crying, it was, I'm not going to be embarrassed and I'm not going to be ashamed of it. It's real. And that's part of why we decided to do this webinar, is that if we were feeling it, then others are feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm glad to know that others have thought that way. I'm sorry what caused you to think that way, but I'm glad that you understand that as well.
Well, thank you. I'm all better now, but I didn't have a plan. And I was forced into needing one. So it's an important thing to think about when you're away from your, a support system that you may have known all your life. When you're away from that, you have to figure out, what's plan B.
Well, I'll jump in. Thanks, Laurie, for calling us out. Hello to everybody on the call. I think more than anything, what Darcy mentioned, we are too doing a lot of that stuff here at UK. I know many of you that I've seen on other Zooms, I usually get the response, how in the world are you in your office? So I'm actually in my office right now. Here in Kentucky, it is a little different. And I have to admit, I'm very fortunate because for me, if I were having to be stuck at home, it would be very, very difficult. I am an introvert, but I got to get out the house. So I'm fortunate to be able to get on campus still and come into my office. And there's generally just myself and maybe my boss might be in here to try to keep with a routine of, hey, you get up, you Monday through Friday, you go to work. Now, I might not be here for 8 hours, but I do come in to keep that routine. So I'm very fortunate, and I'm going to take full advantage until they tell me that I cannot. So I try to keep a routine with that. Just with the learning, I have actually from what I could see, 2 of my grad assistants on this call, and they have done an excellent job trying to make sure that we keep our connections with our students. A lot of our students don't live in Kentucky, so they've gone back home and they've picked up aspects with their families. And so a lot of what we had envisioned that we could get them actively involved in. We have not been able to do that, but we've still been able to create time to spend with them, even if it's over a Zoom. 2 weeks ago, we did a baby picture Kahoot, which was absolutely hilarious. And even though we were only on for like an hour, you could tell that all of us appreciated the connection. So taking advantage of those moments have been really, really great. And like I said, a lot of the stuff that Darcy mentioned, we're doing here at Kentucky, and we're very fortunate. We have a lot of people who have jumped on the fitness classes that are being taught virtually, and really, really keeping a lot of folks connected. So I think more than anything, my challenge is that I haven't had to be stuck at home, and trying to still do some things and keep your brain fresh and your connections fresh. So if that were to change for me, I think I probably would struggle some for sure. But I appreciate the fact that you guys are doing all this stuff. And I've had opportunities to be involved in. I will admit, this morning when I woke up and I was getting a notice that I should be on a flight heading to Phoenix, I was just like, oh my God, that's right. I would be seeing everybody this weekend, and it'd be a big family reunion. So it was one of those things that kind of hit you in the face in the morning, and then you got a little sad, but then it's like, we've been able to keep these connections over Zoom. So like I said, I do appreciate it, even though I'm definitely zoomed out, because I got the NIRSA stuff, and then I have all my NCAA stuff for basketball, for those of you who know that I officiate college basketball. And those meetings have picked up, which has been great, but you can definitely get tired of it. So I appreciate all the suggestions on trying to create that space but stay connected. I think a lot of those are great, and it's actually good to hear that most of us are doing well considering the circumstances.
Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you.
Zach, I think you were starting to say something a while ago and got cut off.
I've just been going to say that at Queen's University here in Ontario, Canada, we get free access to LinkedIn Learning. So that's what I've been using a lot to try and develop myself working from home. And then to try and reach out with some of that information to our student staff and to some of my colleagues and keep them engaged as well. And then all of these webinars too, getting on these, sharing notes, sharing that stuff with my coworkers so that we can use that to benefit as we move forward.
Well, I don't want to go any longer than the hour for sure. We have about 15 minutes. We don't have to take it all up. I'm not gonna, we don't have to meet steak for the entire hour. But Jerrod and I both are very appreciative of all of you being on this call today, sharing strategies for your success, sharing what your challenges have been as well. And what we want you to know is that, don't hesitate to reach out on something other than Zoom or FaceTime or Microsoft Teams. We want you to stay home, we want you to stay safe, and we want you to stay well, so that next year, as Natasha said, I thought about that same thing. I'm sure many of us on this call, we would be together today, most likely, if we weren't at home. And so thank you all for joining in today. This will be recorded and others can watch it. Again, we are an amazing association. This has been fun for me to see people all across the country, all across levels of professional experience. I see Stacy, DeLuca, or Snyder DeLuca, DeLuca Snyder. It's good to see you. Tell your dad I said hi, please. And again, we wish you well. Take some time to be mindful and reach out when you need that. You might be alone, but we are all together. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Be safe, and we'll catch you on another call. Bye-bye. Thank you.